Hi, I'm Linda from English Learning Mind Map. Today, we will learn about jurisprudential frameworks. Jurisprudential frameworks. To uphold justice and codify conduct through jurisprudential frameworks, a nation creates a set of rules that everyone must follow. Essentially, we are building the foundation of a fair society where laws, not people, have the final say. Constitutional mandates. Relying on constitutional mandates helps to entrench liberties and constrain authority within the halls of government. Basically, we are writing a master rulebook that stops leaders from taking away our basic freedom. Fundamental rights. Protecting fundamental rights is the only way to safeguard citizens and prevent tyranny from taking hold in a country. Think of it as a shield that keeps the government from interfering in our private lives and beliefs. Due process. Practicing strict due process is necessary to ensure fairness and grant hearings to anyone accused of a crime. In other words, we are making sure that no one is punished without a proper, honest trial in a real courtroom. Separation of powers. The separation of powers is used to balance influence and check overreach by giving different jobs to different groups of leaders. To put it simply, we are splitting the power so that no single person or group can control everything. Judicial independence. Maintaining judicial independence allows judges to rule impartially and resist pressure from politicians or the public. At its core, we are making sure that a judge only listens to the law, not to what a king or president wants. Litigation procedures. Understanding litigation procedures helps lawyers to resolve disputes and seek redress for their clients in a civil court. Effectively, we are following a strict list of steps to settle arguments about money, property, or injuries. Burden of proof. Proving the burden of proof is the standard method to establish guilt and validate claims during a legal battle. In short, it is the job of the person making the accusation to show the jury that they are telling the truth. Evidentiary Standards. Following evidentiary standards is required to weigh testimony and admit facts that are relevant to the case. In other words, we are using very strict rules to decide which pieces of information are good enough to be shown in court. Adversarial Advocacy. Using adversarial advocacy allows experts to argue cases and protect interests by fighting for their side of the story. To put it simply, we are letting two lawyers compete against each other to help the judge find the truth. Legal representation. Hiring professional legal representation is a right used to counsel clients and draft motions for a complicated trial. Basically, we are getting a trained expert to speak for us so that we don't make mistakes with the difficult legal language. Criminal liability. Establishing criminal liability is necessary to prosecute crimes and deter deviance within a peaceful community. In other words, we are deciding exactly who is responsible for a bad act so they can be punished according to the law. Mens rea. To win a case, the state must prove mens rea to assess the mind state of the person who committed the act. Think of it as proving that the person meant to do something wrong, rather than just having an accident. Culpable intent. Identifying culpable intent allows a jury to show malice or identify neglect in the actions of a defendant. In short, we are checking if the person was being purposeful or just extremely reckless with other people's safety. Statutory penalties. Applying statutory penalties is the way we impose fines and mandate prison time for those who break written laws. Effectively, the law already has a price list for crimes so that everyone knows the punishment before they act. Punitive sentencing. Strict punitive sentencing is used to punish offenders and repay society for the damage they have caused. To put it simply, it is the final decision made by a judge about how much time a criminal must spend behind bars. Contractual obligations. Managing contractual obligations helps to enforce promises and secure commerce between different businesses. Basically, we are making sure that if you sign a deal to do something, you actually have to do it. Binding agreements. Creating binding agreements is the primary way to formalize deals and prevent breach between two or more parties. In other words, We are making a promise so serious that the police or a judge will help you if the other person breaks it. Mutual consent. Reaching mutual consent is required to reach consensus and sign terms that both people feel are fair. At its core, it means that both sides of the deal understand the rules and say yes without being forced. Liability indemnification. Using liability indemnification is a common way to shift risk and cover losses if something goes wrong during a project. Effectively, it is a promise that says, if my mistake costs you money, I will be the one to pay for it. Tort compensation. Finally, awarding tort compensation is the standard way to pay damages and restore victims who have been hurt by someone's mistake. In short, it's about making sure that if someone crashes into your car, they pay the money to fix it. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for more English lessons.